Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated to providing you with life strategies with a little bit of entrepreneur advice. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, welcome to the Networking with Michelle show. I'm your host, Michelle Gomez. Today I wanted to do something different. I realized I am approaching 200 episodes and I feel like there's a bunch of topics I want to address and round up. But one thing I have not done within these episodes, I don't think I've discussed my favorite episodes. And I wanted to take a moment to discuss my favorite 10 episodes. Now, these are different than the top 10 episodes, right? Because if I was to do the top 10 episodes, that would be based off of the numbers, right? The episodes with the most listeners. And I didn't feel like going through all of that and getting that data and everything. And I know at one point the question interview I did with Gary V was definitely one of the highest. And of course, most of the older episodes would have more listeners. But I wanted to do my favorite episodes. And when I realized writing these episodes down, these are really the ones that are not so much business, entrepreneurial led interviews, but these are the conversations that I had with either good friends, kindred spirits that just resonated and probably going through something at that time in my life when I was talking to those people. And just like any episode, I always felt like each interview, like, okay, I needed to talk to this person at this specific moment to gain awareness about whatever I was struggling with at that time, whether it was myself, personally, within my business. There's things that I was dealing with my father, which I probably go over a little bit with some of these episodes. And I was just like, man, I needed to talk. Like, I needed to hear that, but I needed to hear that from that specific person. So I'm grateful. So yes, shout out to the top episodes, the great interviews, they're there, but these are my favorite 10. And this is no particular order. I'm just going to say the person and then the reason why. And then please check the show notes. If you want to listen to that interview, you can click on that link and check out that interview. So the first one I have is Robert Christiansen, Motive for Life. And I don't know how many times I listened to that interview. I probably listened to it at least 3 times before publishing it. And then I probably listened to it once a year because this man, he has such a calm and dynamic energy. And I just learned so much from him. And I think, and then another thing, he has his affirmations PDF called The Gift. And I still read those affirmations every day. And one thing I loved about his affirmations is that he included his business, his clients. Lots of times, and I'm a big person on affirmations, and lots of times people who say, I am healthy, I am successful, I'm finding the love of my life and things of that nature. But to go down to the granular and include business affirmations and then affirmations for your clients, the type of people, the type of clients you want to attract, and, all this kind of stuff. But I'm going to have that definitely in the show notes. So Robert Christiansen, The Motive for Life, and his affirmation PDF called The Gift. Angela Holton, Coaching from Healing. Now, I met her April last year, April 2018 in New York. We both spoke at the Womaneer Conference, and once again, just great, soothing energy when she was on stage. And as soon as she got off, I was like, hey, I would love to interview you for my podcast. And we linked up right away. And at that time, I think we probably did an interview, I want to say in June, because I have a feeling it was in June. Had some issues with my dad that came up, and I want to say that was around Father's Day. And I just talked to her about that. And I didn't plan on it for the interview. Like, why would I divulge my personal stuff on the interview? But at that moment, I needed help. All right. And it's one of those things where I think lots of times we make exceptions for our parents. We tolerate their behavior because they're our parents, and we feel like we're obligated to them and that we have to. And I've always been one of those people, like, I don't think I'm obligated to my parents. I don't think I have to continue to hurt myself for the betterment of my parents, let alone anyone else. Wrong is wrong, regardless of who you are, mom, dad, brother, sister. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And I've always been one to stand by that. And even though I know that and I agree with that, it's still a struggle. And I remember in that episode just talking to her about that situation and trying to realize how much more effort do I need to give into this relationship with my father for it to be healthy and sustainable. At least that's how I feel about it now, anyways. But that was a great episode, and just talking about relationships, all types of relationships, whomever, wherever, and understanding what does that look like. And Angela has a great coaching practice, and I encourage you, if you are someone that is looking to heal yourself and heal from past relationships, definitely reach out to her, because you have to be whole with yourself, in hopes to meet someone else that is whole, right? So the third episode, third favorite, I would say, is Holly Charles, I'm Still a Woman. Now, Holly's been on the show at least 3 times, probably only one of 2 people that have been on this show 3 times. And this particular episode is I'm Still a Woman. And if you listen to the interviews, you know Holly is a creative. She's an author. She's a playwright. Just a dynamic, stellar woman of God. I love this girl. And her play, I'm Still a Woman, focused on discussing the struggles women have when it comes to childbirth, right? How there's so many women that on paper, on surface, it looks like they have, their stuff together, great career, a loving relationship, but, the woman's unable to conceive. And then it explores different options on how to have children, right? Pros, cons, benefits, all these types of things. And I just felt like we had a healthy discussion on how the African American community looks at women that don't have children. And I know I definitely get that within the Cameroon community. I mean, I think I'm still young, feel good, but I am approaching 40. I'm a couple of years from being 40. And it's like, Michelle, you don't have children. It's like, you don't have a man, you don't have a relationship, you don't have children. And the thing is, I've never really wanted to have kids outside of marriage. And so I get looked at, it's like I get looked down upon because I don't have children. And then if and when I state the reason why I don't have kids, people look at me as if it's not as if I'm better than them, but then, my reasoning comes off that way. So damned if you do, damned if you don't type of feeling. And, that's just my personal experience. But Holly and I, we have a great conversation and just talking about what does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to be a woman today? We recorded this episode in 2018. And I think that's something that's very, very important. I think that lots of times when someone doesn't have a child, they're the minority in it, and especially a woman, they're the minority, and then it's like no one ever wanted you, and that doesn't have to be the case. And I think that there's still literally good people um, that it's hard to say this because once again I don't want to seem condescending, but for whatever reasons they just don't have a child, right? Whether they made the conscious decision not to have one, um, maybe they had an abortion, maybe they just weren't ready when they were young and in college, but for whatever reason, like it's okay if that woman doesn't have a child. It's okay if that man doesn't have a child at the age of whatever, 20, 30, 40, 50. And that doesn't mean something's wrong with you if you don't, it's just, I don't know. I think it's a good thing. But like I said, most women that do not have children, they're a minority. Most men that don't have children is a minority, and it's okay. And I think so many things about this, but I definitely think the perspective within the Black community needs to change with that, as well as the relationship dynamics between men and women. So that was episode, or my third episode, Holly Charles, I'm Still a Woman. So number 4, I also have my good friend Ray Shackelford, titled Culture and Community. Once again, I love this brother, great guy. It's just a conversation, just a simple conversation about what does it mean to be Black? What does it mean to be a leader within this community development space, and making sure that you are contributing to your community. What does that look like? How do you manage that? And how do you grow? Ray has created a great career for himself by being a servant leader. At the time when we did this interview, he was already accomplished as the president of the Houston area Urban League Young Professionals. He was Southwest Regional VP, and now he's the national president of the Urban League Young Professionals, and has his business and is just doing great things in the community. So I definitely commend that brother. And then another thing we talk about in the interview is also the balance between corporate and community service. And I think that's very important because I feel like a lot of us are in that age where now we got a career and we are stable with our career, our income, but we want to give back. How do we give back, and what does that look like? And that is a great episode, Culture and Community, if that's something you're looking to find how to manage in your life. The next episode, I have Sable B, Navigating Your Career as a Real Brown Girl. Man, I was following her online, Instagram, for quite some time. And I'm going to say I reached out. I really don't know. But I promise you, it's like as soon as we connected online, it was just like, this is a long lost friend. Like, I think we were probably rapping, or she was rapping something. I was like, hold on, let me press record. And God, we probably talked for like 2 to 3 hours that day, just about everything. And I was like, man, this is what it's about. This is what podcasting is about. This is the stuff that you can't see and that rarely gets talked about. But once again, just, right person, right conversation, right time. And we talked about her career, but more importantly, we talked about how Black women need to navigate their career within the corporate space, from resumes to interviews and just personality, right? And the things that we have to go through on a regular basis, working, right? I'm not even going to get into corporations, top Fortune 500s and all that, but just working, like, sheesh, So definitely check that out. Great interview. Great interview. Next, what do I have here? I think I'm on number 6. My girl, Brittany Flournay, aka Flo, HIV awareness. This episode shocked the shit out of me. Like, I don't even think I interviewed the girl. She, I probably asked a couple of questions and she started answering and telling her stories, and my mouth was just open because it was so much. And this was probably one of the episodes that I'm most proud of, because once again, I think it's a topic that's not addressed in our community a lot, and it needs to be. And, I don't have the biggest platform, but I have a platform. So I'm definitely going to bring those issues to the forefront. And one thing I realize is that a lot of women believe they're in monogamous relationships. And, at some point, you stop using a condom, rightfully so. I don't know, rightfully, I don't know. But anyways, you stop using a condom, and then you get pregnant. And when you get pregnant, the doctor runs all these tests, and you find out you're pregnant, and you find out you have STD or HIV. And we talked about the bittersweet moments of that. Brittany is a social worker in Houston, Harris County, and she works with women that are pregnant and have HIV. And it is sad and shocking. And I think we titled it not if, but when. It was just crazy. And there's just so many, I feel like I'm about to cry now. There's just so many things that happen in the interim. There's women that unfortunately they get raped. Daughters get raped by the same man. They contract HIV. There's men that believe having sex with other men, they're not gay, they're not bisexual, which, because they don't have that mindset, they go home, sleep with their girlfriend, their wife, and they, carry her and pass it on. And that interview was just, it's like, things and you hear things, but then to hear from someone in the profession, like working, and she just has so many stories. I was shook. She even said it. But that is, definitely one of the top favorite episodes, just because of the awareness, just to bring awareness of the situation. Let's see. All right, next, I have a couple of tiebreakers here. Next, I'm going to go to, this might be more than 10. Next, I'm going to go to Roberto Blake, YouTube marketing. And I have it on my list, but I didn't circle it as my top 10. But I'm going to go ahead and mention it because this obviously a business/marketing episode, but it was so tactical. Like, people reach out to me, and I don't have the best YouTube following, but people reach out to me, and I always send them that episode because he tells you, like, A to Z, 1 to 100, 1 to an infinity on what to do to grow a following, specifically a YouTube following, like how to create the videos, thumbnail, like resources, tips, and you name it. And I think lots of times people, and I'm one of these people, like, I know what to do, but I don't always explain what to do the best way. But I know what I'm doing because it works for me. And sometimes it's hard to translate. And Roberto does a great job of going deep and wide. And you can tell he is passionate about just marketing in general, but then he knows his stuff when it comes to YouTube marketing. So if you're looking to grow your social media following, specifically YouTube. Roberto Blake, YouTube marketing, is definitely the episode you want to check out. And he's just a great person to follow on definitely Twitter, YouTube, and make sure you get on his newsletter because he is just a wealth of knowledge and he's generous with that as well. All right, next I have J. Kelly Hoey, Build Your Dream Network. And shout out to her because she just tweeted me the other day. And this Build Your Dream Network, this woman is phenomenal. She has grown a great career as an executive now in the tech space. And she wrote the book, I Wish I Knew How to Write. She wrote the book, I Wish Network Navigate and Nurture was several years ago. And obviously she's older, wiser, and just a wealth of knowledge. But I learned so much from her. And the biggest thing I learned from that interview is lots of times when we look at diversity, we just think about race and gender. And she was saying diversity is about not just the demographic, but the psychographic, the sociographic, making up words. I don't know, but it sounds good. But it's the income, it's the education, it's the zip code, and I was like, that's true. Once again, it's one of those aha moments where something, but lots of times you know it in the back of your mind, but it needs to come to the forefront. And that whole interview was things that came to my forefront. So just a great episode. And if you're focused on networking and you want to network the right way, that's definitely the interview to check out. J. Kelly Hoey, Build Your Dream Network. Phenomenal book. I think I gifted like one or two books during that interview. And then also if you're in the tech space, check her out, man. She's great. She knows her shit. All right, so I have one more. I'm gonna do this in an honorable mention. So number 10 would be George Fraser. George Fraser was the first or the second person I interviewed on my show. And I remember when I was starting in 2013, 2014, all of this networking stuff, my mentor, Daryl James, who I've also interviewed, shout out to him. He was like, have you heard of George Fraser? And I was like, no. He's like, check him out. Went online, Amazon, started buying books. And George Fraser is a pioneer when it comes to discussing networking within the African American community. And basically he worked at, I want to say Ford, but one of these car manufacturers in Detroit or something. Became an executive, grew up the ranks, and seeing these white people network, and he started networking, and he was bringing that knowledge and resources to the community. And once again, kindred spirit. And I remember sending that email and going to sleep, taking a nap in the middle of the day. And when I woke up, he responded, and I was like, OMG, like, really? And then, unfortunately, I got sick. I lost my voice. So it took a while for us to schedule the interview. But he was just so respectful, and he commended me. And it's just like, most people are afraid to email me, and, I love doing these and all this kind of stuff. And just talking to him, I feel like it set the tone for my personal brand, like to grow my brand on networking. Like, he's definitely one of the best people I could have spoken to at that particular moment. And that's the beauty of podcasts. Like, the content's evergreen. And there's times when I go back to my notes, I listen to the episodes, I go back to the quotes, don't chase money, don't chase the transaction, and it's like, I got to remind myself, don't get stuck in that rat race, and value people, value relationships. So that's my number 10, George Fraser. The honorable mention is my Black Lives Matter series. And I did this, I want to say 2016, at that time where we had several police shootings of unarmed Black men by police officers. and I was tired, I was frustrated, and I remember a lot of this stuff was going down, and then shortly after that summer, we had the Olympics, and Black women were, rocking gold medals during the Olympics, and it was just a bittersweet moment during that summer. And I created the Black Lives Matter series, and I interviewed 4 or 5 people about just, what does it mean to be an African American male? What does it mean to be an African American woman? What's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your initiative? What are the struggles we're going through in the community? How can we find solutions to these struggles? And it was just something near and dear to my heart. I interviewed Jay Jones. I don't think that one made it to the air because we had technical issues. Michelle Talbert. I think Brandon Jones and another brother, Michelle, connected me with that does great work in DC. And it's just awareness. And I think the thing is, we see what makes national news, and then I'm here in Houston and I see what goes on in my backyard for the most part. But then, I wonder, like, what's going on in these other communities? What's going on in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, and, up the coastline. And then obviously there's the young man got shot in his grandmother's backyard in California, LA. And it's just crazy. And, Black folks, we don't get the same grace that a lot of our white counterparts do. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was a white man got in an accident, came out his car butt naked. The police couldn't arrest him. He's just running around in the street. It's just like, what is going on here? And then when they did arrest him, he was naked. And I was like, and life is important, and I value life, but it's just like, if that was a Black person, we wouldn't have made it. Like, we wouldn't have been arrested naked. We just wouldn't, and it's just different. It's just different. It's just different. So those are my favorite 10 episodes plus one, right? Honorable mention. So be sure to check those out. I'm going to have the link, all the links for those episodes in the show notes. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to have this platform, grateful to just to grow and evolve as a person on this platform, and having the space to share the things, the topics that mean the most to me. And I hope with that we all become a little bit more wiser in this thing called life. Okay. Also, I have not forgotten, hopefully you catch the previous episodes. I am using a contact management app called Covve. So if you're looking to find a way to manage your relationships, right? So you go out to the networking events, you have the business cards, but you have a hard time managing the relationships. Covve is an app that you definitely want to check out. I use Covve, the contact management app that puts all the people in one place. It provides news, updates, and reminds you to reach out to individuals on a regular basis. Sign up for a free pro subscription for 1 month and less than $10 a month afterwards. So be sure to visit the website, covve.com/Michelle Gourmet. That is Covve, COVVE.com/Michelle Gourmet. Once again, for your free pro subscription for 1 month. Also, if you're in the Houston area, Thursday, September 12th, I'll be speaking at the Black MBA Association on maximizing your networking ability. They have the conference on September 24th through the 28th. On September 28th, we have the Nigerian Culture Day Parade here. And September 20th, I'm speaking at the National Forum of Public Administrators. And in November, I'm speaking at Arie, the HTX experience. So I'm going to have all of that in the show notes. Be sure to check that out. I am in these streets and I am online. So make sure you follow me at Michelle Gourmet. I would say michellegourmet.com, at Michelle Gourmet on Instagram for the cool stuff, Facebook for the real stuff, and LinkedIn for the professional stuff. Remember, I believe in you, and a personal connection leads to an influential network. Thanks for networking with Michelle.